2024 was a year of just like, oh my gosh, so many things that could have brought me to my knees in so many ways. There is so much beauty in the burn. There is so much growth and opportunity in what life brings you. To think about, is life happening for me or is life happening to me? So I want to go through some of the things that helped me through this process and helped me to feel more grounded. Welcome to the latest episode of the Unapologetically Yours podcast. I'm your host, Ashley Logan, and I am so happy to have you here today. Unapologetically Yours is a podcast where we go deep on everything from spirituality to relationship and connection to business and belief systems. Because in a world when we've been taught to play by the rules, it's time to live unapologetically. Let me tell you a little bit about the last 12 months. I have to laugh because, first of all, 2024 was a year of just like, oh my gosh, so many things that could have brought me to my knees in so many ways. And one of those was, I'll tell you guys a story about just a couple of weeks ago on Christmas Day. My kids went to their dad's house around 10 a.m. So we did presents in the morning and all the things. And then I dropped them off at their dad's and came back to, messy house, wrapping paper everywhere. And I set out to clean things up to the best I could and cleaned out some closets in my house and just started getting organized because, it's a sad thing that parents go through when they've experienced divorce. And so it was a coping mechanism. And I decided that I was going to take a minute and, have a moment of reflection. So my plan was that I was going to take a shower, get into comfy clothes, and make a little nest in front of the fire in my basement, and then watch It's a Wonderful Life. And if I needed to cry, then I was going to cry and just let myself kind of feel my feelings. So I, get everything prepared, go take a shower. I'm in the comfy clothes, and I take one of those Duraflame logs and a Yule log that came from the Boy Scouts, and I won't say which specific Boy Scout, and I lit it. And I am kind of a fire witch. Like, I love lighting fires. I do bonfires all the time. I love fire. And so I know all the things to do when lighting a fire in the basement, like opening the flue and yada, yada. So I was pretty comfortable with the practice. So really the second that I lit the fire, my basement started filling with smoke at a rapid clip. And I, right away was trying to open windows and fan the smoke detector so it didn't go off. And I'm thinking, oh my God, why is this happening? What's going on? Why is there so much smoke? The flue's open. I did all the things. And so by then the smoke starts to go up to the second floor. And at this point, the fire alarms are going off. And in my haste of trying to fan away the smoke and with a pillow and other things, I missed the call from ADT, my security system, to make sure that I was okay and that there wasn't a fire. So I could have probably done a lot of things differently, but I was focused on getting the smoke cleared out. Fire was still going, and probably could have put that out too, but I couldn't find a fire extinguisher. So I guess fire safety lesson number one that I could have adhered to. And then I hear the sirens. And I opened the door, and at this point, I looked like Khaleesi from Game of Thrones emerging from my house with just so much smoke behind me. And there were 4 fire trucks, 1 ambulance, 8 firemen, and then all of my neighbors on Christmas Day coming out to my house to make sure that I was okay. And I said right away, there's no fire, but I do think I need some help. And so the alarms are still going off. The dog is barking like crazy. The firemen come into the house and they have this giant fire extinguisher, and they go down to the basement and they, blast my 2-log fire. And, they were fully prepared to scold me about not opening the flue and all of those things. And was my fireplace obstructed? And it wasn't. So the fire chief was like, what are these pine needles in here? And I was like, it's the Yule log. And he's like, you can't burn a Yule log. And for those of you who don't know, a Yule log is a birch wood log that you burn on Christmas Day, and it has pine cones and needles on it. It's kind of decorative, but you're supposed to burn it on Christmas. And I told him that. I was like, no, dude, it's the Yule log. It's from the Boy Scouts. And I did this before. and it didn't cause all of this smoke. And then he looks at me and he's like, can you turn off the alarm? And I was like, yeah, oh my God, I can. I am, in fact, the God of this panel, and I will, in fact, turn off the alarm for you. Obviously, I did not have full faculties in my brain space and all of the things with Christmas and the like. So then the best part of this is that my mother has been moved to be my emergency contact. My mom starts calling me frantically, being like, is your house on fire? So Merry Christmas to me. And what an appropriate capstone to an otherwise just year of tons of change and, I've got to be honest, hardship. And I am not the type of person who really dwells on the woe is me victim kind of mindset. It's not me. And part of that is because over the years, I have built a lot of tools for managing things and maintaining a positive mindset and working through difficult times. And so here's some of the things that happened in this full system burn down that luckily did not include my house. But my dog died. So Barkley was my BFF. He was well known in the city of Chicago. He came with me everywhere, starting from the time when he was a puppy. He was my first baby. I got him when I was in my 20s, and then he just came with me through life and parenting. And I've got like 100 pictures of my middle kid just cuddled up with him. And for those of you who are watching the video of this, you can see that I have my puppy here, Lexi, who's trying to get some attention as puppies do. But Barkley was 14 and he had just gotten old and sick, and he was carrying so much energy in our house, and it was time to make the call when he couldn't walk and was clearly in a lot of pain, that it was time to say goodbye to him. And for those of you, losing a dog is just the saddest and the hardest thing. Not to mention spending all of 2024 going through the divorce process, which was, it's under the best of circumstances, incredibly challenging. We were living under one roof for most of 2024. And so just navigating that with the best interests of our kids in mind, and having tough conversations and trying to figure things out and advocate for ourselves and all of those things. Story for another day, but you can imagine that it was a big year. My mom also got diagnosed with breast cancer this year. She is such a trooper, and I'm so happy to say that she is just fine. She had a lumpectomy and fully recovered, and we're keeping a close eye on it. But there's moments in life where we're reminded of our mortality and how important those closest to us really are. And going through that process and seeing my mom in a vulnerable position and watching her strength and courage it was just a lot. Several people near and dear to my heart who were battling cancer in 2024, and trying to show up for them in the best way possible, and just knowing that health is wealth, and that the best thing that you can do is show up in support and admiration and reflect someone's courage back to them during challenging times like this. But it's a lot. It's a lot to think about. At the beginning of last year, my daughter also had major surgery. She had her tonsils and adenoids removed and tubes put in her ears. And, just going through the process of seeing your child in a situation where they have to have a surgery. And I know it's a common one, but just really set me on edge, thinking about how important my children are to me and how important their health and well-being is, and thinking about how to navigate, seeing my daughter getting put under for this surgery and then her recovery process, and seeing the support from the community. It was a lot. So a lot of big health things. From a community standpoint, had a lot of big changes. I am part of a group for my business called EO Chicago, the Entrepreneurs Organization. And part of that experience includes meeting with a forum. And so when I first joined EO in 2019, I was placed in a forum of, it's going to vary in numbers from 7 to 9 individuals, and they are all non-competing business owners. And what you do is you meet every month to talk about what's going on in your personal life, what's going on in your professional life, what's going on in your family life, and to share and reflect and provide resources and offer support for all of the things that you're going through. So I have consistently met with my forum since 2019, every single month. And we take retreats together and other things. And this last February, we ultimately came to the conclusion that some members were leaving the organization and others were moving away, others were selling their businesses. And we had sort of reached an impasse and it was time for us to disband. And so losing that like sense of security and community and familiarity with people who had seen me through everything from the birth of my third child to navigating the pandemic to growth to loss, like everything was, I really, really, really felt that gap, and honored the experience for what it was, and also was sad to have it go away. Another piece is that I'm a member of Union Church of Hinsdale, and I love the community there so much. And the pastor left fairly quickly, and the head pastor. And so that was kind of one of those things. It was like, all of these systems that I had built support on over the last few years and leaned into were sort of really shifting. From a business standpoint, had to make some really big and major changes in the business because of the dawn of AI. And part of that meant parting ways with team members who'd some of them been with me for a really long time, who were people I had personal relationships with. And that was just such a hard thing to navigate. Like, one, that piece, but then also the restructuring and fallout and shifts and the work that goes into a major restructure. So these were just like major, major things. And then on top of that, sold the family home, talked about that a little bit in season 1, and then moved into a new house, had to get the kids settled there, and they started at a new school in August. And so it was just like one thing after the next. But I'm not asking you to feel sorry for me, because I don't feel sorry for myself. There is so much beauty in the burn. There is so much growth and opportunity in what life brings you. To think about, is life happening for me or is life happening to me? So I want to go through some of the things that helped me through this process and helped me to feel more grounded. One, you guys heard about this last episode. Being alcohol free was enormously helpful for me through all of these transitions, because it allowed me to maintain my faculties and peace of mind, and also just be sharper, maintain one thought from one day to the next. But feeling my feelings is a big part of it. Like, in order to navigate, to have presence of mind, you've got to let the feelings that arise move through you. And so I felt a ton of sadness. I felt a ton of sorrow last year, and I allowed myself to be with it and then move through it so that it didn't weigh me down. Writing is such an incredible tool. I talk about this a lot, but if you are looking for a little more clarity in your life as you navigate situations big and small, journaling is such an incredible practice to introduce. This can look like a lot of different things, and it looked like a lot of different things for me. So one, just journaling, letting your thoughts fly. I love morning pages, which is something that came from the Artist's Way, filling up 3 different pages of just thoughts and kind of cleansing your system and having a fresh thought and getting all of that ick out. Another thing is just gratitude, writing down, starting the day with 5 to 10 things that you really are grateful for. Keeping track of your feelings through writing is just a great way to understand where you are and how you're showing up in the world and what's really occupying your thoughts. So highly recommend that. The third thing is setting a daily intention. So for me, navigating some of the hardest days, I would wake up and know that I had a million challenges ahead, from business meetings to things to navigate with the children. And I would set an intention and then dress for it. If I wanted to feel powerful, maybe I would wear a suit and dress the part, so that I was setting that intention for how I wanted to show up in the world. And I'm not saying fake it till you make it, but it really, really, really helps to have your whole system behind you and to know, like, this is how I want to be, this is how I need to show up, and this is what I'm ready for, and going through life that way. There was months where I was really drained, feeling not just a lack of focus, but also, a lot of uncertainty. And I'd say, okay, today I need to feel creative. And I would let my inner artist shine as I picked out my clothes, and then keep that intention in mind throughout the day. So the next piece is canceling plans. I canceled a lot of plans in 2024. And I am a true blue friend. I believe in follow through. I believe in doing what you say you're going to do. I think it is so important. And it's a big part of who I am. And this year I gave myself the space to say that sometimes that wasn't what I could do. I needed every ounce of rest. I needed every ounce of creative energy. And sometimes that meant that something that I had committed to was no longer a fit for where I was in that moment. And I gave myself permission to say, I'm so sorry, but I can't do this tonight or today, or to move meetings around or to revisit things. And while that made me feel in some cases like, oh gosh, my flake, it also gave me so much more energy and allowed me to tune into like what I wanted to do and what maybe I didn't want to do. The next thing on the list is body testing. And so this kind of plays into like canceling plans, but asking myself and getting out of my head and being like, is this a yes or is this a no? And tuning into my response. Was I excited? Or was I turned on by doing something? Or did I feel a sense of dread? And if it was dread and it wasn't for a reason that I could point to like, I just need to clear space and then this is something I'm going to want to do, I allow that to be my compass. So what do I want to do? What do I want to participate in? What boards do I want to join? How do I want to spend my time? What meetings do I want to take? And did just a lot of that body testing. So tuning in. So instead of my head, instead of letting the should statements, how people expect me to show up in the world, I allowed my body and my own intuition to sort of guide there. Where are all my yogis at? The next thing on my list that saved me in 2024 was Core Power Yoga. That's the studio that I go to. I love HPF. I love having a place to go where it's familiar. And so the beauty of HPF, that's one of the classes that Core Power offers, is that it's the same flow no matter what studio you go to, no matter who is teaching. And granted, each teacher puts on their own little twist, which makes things very delightful. And I certainly have some favorites, but what you can expect is that you're going to do the same moves and the room is going to be hot. And I appreciate the heat, not because I'm looking for like rapid weight loss, but because I love the sweat. I love to release the toxins through that process, and I love to just totally zone out. And there was actually like periods of time where, it was a lonely year. And I would go to Core Power because they offer hands-on assist. Sometimes you like might get a little massage from the teacher, and I would be like, please pick me, please pick me, please pick me. Highly recommend HPF or having some sort of yoga practice that allows you to just like zone out, quiet your mind, and use all the muscles in your body. So that was a big one for me. The next piece is time in nature. Oh my gosh, I need to be outside all the time. Every day I'm outside, rain, shine, wind, rain, cold, and it gets cold here and it gets hot here. But taking those nature walks, connecting with what's happening in the world outside, looking up at the stars. Oh my God, I spend so much time looking up at clouds and stars, and taking a deep breath outside. It is a beautiful and wonderful thing. So if you haven't connected with nature and you're feeling like a little unhinged, go for a walk or take your shoes off and stand barefoot in the grass. If it's cold outside, wrap a blanket around your body and go stand outside and look at the stars. Nature is your friend. Nature is a natural healer, and it will serve you so well. It served me so well. The next thing is breathing. Breath work is an important part of my practice, but you don't have to go get a certification to integrate it into your life. So many of us are just holding our breath all day long. And what you can do is just take a big inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. Do it with me now. Okay, ready? Inhale through your nose. Exhale through your mouth. And what I love to do is do it with pursed lips because you get some extra endorphins there from giving yourself a little kiss of air. So do this as a little reset in between meetings. Do this as a reset before replying or responding during tough conversations, and it'll serve you so well. The next is not talking shit, man. Gosh, it is so easy to engage in low vibration activity and also so easy and so beneficial not to. So talking shit is not part of who I am. And it's easy though to get kind of sucked into who's doing what and why they do that and this and that and this and that. And especially when you're going through a lot of different things and high conflict times, offering people grace and perspective is such an important thing. Is this true? would I want someone saying this about me? And instead shifting the narrative to talk about like what people are doing that is so awesome in the world, and making that a practice to just like not get sucked into the womp womp drama icky bullshit, because talking about the positive things is so much more fun and it'll light you up so much more, and it makes you shine a little bit brighter. Because the truth is that when you are talking shit about people, it automatically impacts your own trustworthiness as a person. Of course, we all need to vent and navigate different situations and share our experiences, but doing that from the perspective of like, my experience with this was, and instead of saying this person is an asshole or whatever. So raise your vibration, don't engage. The next piece is community. I have to tell you that this last year, my community rallied around me in so many different ways, from my sisters and my family to my girlfriends who I leaned into, and I had to ask for help and I had to take up space, and sometimes more space than I wanted to, because I was navigating a lot. But what I know about people is that they want to give, they want to show up, they want to be in service, and lean into that, because you will have a chance to be in service and you will have a chance to be served. And it's a beautiful, wonderful thing. Community is something that we lost so much of during the pandemic, and we're still rebuilding it. Lean into it. If it's been a minute since you've been in touch with your friends, or if you find yourself canceling plans with those you love the most, stop. Make it a priority to go see your girlfriends, go show up at church, be in community with others, or go find a hobby and where you can experience the presence of other people and the joy of human connection. Because what we learned from this is that we are all human. We are all navigating hard things, and doing that together is a wonderful thing. And the final thing I want to mention is that for me, I spent a lot of time in deep reflection, in deep thought, in deep contemplation. I am a spiritual person. I believe in manifestation. I believe in the power of prayer. I believe in the power of interconnectedness. I know that how I show up in my energy impacts others, and keeping that in mind and how I was navigating daily life and how we can all navigate this together is just an important piece. So with that in mind, I am so happy that you took the time out of your day to spend some time with me. And I know that we are all going through a lot. January has been like the longest month of all time, but we're going to get through whatever it brings us together by being in community, being contemplative, and being introspective, and most importantly, offering grace to ourselves and to those around us. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like, follow, share, comment, all the things. I want to hear from you. Until next time, I'm Ashley, and I am unapologetically yours.